Previously, we installed Node and VS Code and verified that we could run a simple JavaScript file. Now we're going to set up our project to work with TypeScript. When we installed Node, it also included npm. npm is Node Package Manager, and we can use it to initialize our project. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to come to our terminal and we're going to run the command npm init. Now, as I'm filling this out, I'm pretty much just going to hit enter through everything, as the values aren't going to matter too much, and we'll see what gets created. So after we ran npm init, all that really did was it created a file called package.json. In projects managed by Node, there's always going to be a package.json, and this file is going to contain metadata about our project, such as the name, version, description, so on and so forth. After initializing our project, we're now ready to add our first dependency. A dependency being some additional software that we need in order to run our application. The dependency we're going to add is tsnode, and to add it, we'll run the command npm install ts-node. After we installed tsnode, we'll notice a few things happened. The first is that our package.json was updated to include tsnode as a dependency. In the package.json, it'll list our dependency as well as the version for our dependency. The next thing we'll notice is that it also created a package lock.json. Now we only added one dependency, tsnode, but tsnode relies on a whole bunch of other libraries as well. The package lock.json is going to lock in all the versions of all those additional libraries that tsnode needs in order to run. And the last thing we'll notice that happened is this folder node modules was created. The node module folder is where all of these dependencies are going to be installed to. When sharing a project with other developers, you don't need to include node modules. In fact, we can delete node modules altogether. And to get node modules back, now all we need to do is simply say npm install. And what that will do is it will install all dependencies specified in our project. At this point, we're ready to go ahead and create our TypeScript file. First, we're going to do a little bit of organization. We'll create a folder called source, where we're going to put all of our demos. Inside of there, we'll move our hello world.js file, and then we'll create a new file called hello world.ts. Inside of this file, we'll do the exact same thing as we did in JavaScript, which is going to be console.log hello world. In order to run this file, this time we're going to type the command npx tsnode, and then the path to our file. Now, I never type out paths myself fully. I start typing them, so I'll type sr, and then I'll hit the tab key, and that should fill out the rest of the suggestion. And then I'll type hel, tab again. The first suggestion it gave was the JavaScript file. I'll hit tab again, and now it's on the TypeScript file. That's going to be way easier than typing out full file names every single time. And we'll notice when we ran this code, it worked and printed hello world to our terminal. To break down this command, first we said npx. npx is node package execute. Technically speaking, we didn't have to install tsnode as a dependency. If we didn't, npx would actually download tsnode for us and use whatever the latest version is. However, because we did install tsnode first, it will use the tsnode from our node modules instead of just whatever the current version is. In order to guarantee that our code will always function, we want to use the same version of tsnode. And if we want to update tsnode, we want to do that ourselves rather than always having the most up-to-date version. So again, our command is npx node package execute, and then we're running the command tsnode, which will pull tsnode from our node modules. And tsnode, we give it the path to the TypeScript file that we want to run. When we run this command, tsnode does something a little bit interesting. Behind the scenes, it's doing what's known as just-in-time transpilation, which pretty much means that tsnode is actually converting our TypeScript code into JavaScript code and then using Node to run that JavaScript code. And with that, we now have TypeScript working, and we can continue on to more fundamentals.